Lately I've been feeling things change. We've been working hard, no sleep, get it every day. And I swear that we ain't stopping till we pay. Yeah, the pressure on, gotta make it work. Triple play, yeah.
This is Triple Play Fantasy Basketball Week 19. Yo, you got me on the intro. I see you can't see Eric, Doc Mendelson in the background, but he's in the nose league.
I act out the scenes. I'm that type of person.
Oh my God. I got to record that one day so I can give the people that come back week to week, shout out you guys. I'm Coach Lou. We're in the nitty gritty. This is the time where people are, going fishing and they're out of it. They're out of contention. But there's those people that are in that 5-6 spot. They're trying to get in the playoffs. 7. It gets close here. But even if you're in it or you're out it, at least just click, save your lineups, because nobody wants to give an advantage to someone else because they didn't play their lineup. Like, just at least just throw your guys in there, do the league a favor. Nobody likes somebody that gives up. Don't be the person that gives up.
Sure, Coach, it's Sunday. Preach. And if I had to say one thing, just like the Grizzlies from 2010 to 2018, this is the grit and grind era of fantasy basketball.
Let's go.
These last couple weeks.
Grit and grind. Somebody's been doing it for 20 plus years. Can you believe that this man went from 0 to 40K all under the microscope of he's going to be the great? Listen, he's living up to the hype. He's on his way to 50K if you add in those playoff statistics. So his pedigree is, it's second to none. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's what happens when you strategically hop from team to team and take pay cuts the first half of your career and aren't the highest paid player on your team until your second stint with the Cavs. Yeah, you can build super teams, put talent around.
So you're talking about a genius, a mastermind.
Yeah,
a billionaire. You're talking about a billionaire.
Yeah. Best businessman of NBA all time. But, that's the luxury that the people in the 80s and 90s didn't have the ability to do.
Yeah. So shout out LBJ because not only did he score 40,000 points, but his fourth quarter against the Clippers, going heads up with Kawhi, like that was a turn back the clock moment. But, for that night, he was, again, the best player in the NBA for that night.
You are looking for any excuse to praise him.
Yeah.
Did you see the way he tied his shoes? He tied it in 7 seconds. That's the quickest in the league.
Hey, I can't make these stats up. Eric finds the gold in the world. We saw Wemby go heads up with Chet, man. That's the coolest, little mini rivalry. And what he did against him, he looked like the best player in the NBA that night. So there we might be seeing a changing of guard coming forward because what Wemby is doing is something that we've never seen before. We haven't talked about him much on the show, but aren't you impressed?
You talk about living expectations. Like the Spurs are terrible around him. They have an awful build. They don't have anyone that complements him. And what he can do with the ball in his hands, off the ball, the way he impacts it. He's
already the best defensive player in the NBA, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we're looking forward to that. You're here for fantasy talk. I know we like to talk a little bit about the NBA in between. Week 19, the Nets play 5. They go back-to-back Monday, Tuesday, and then go back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. So that's kind of chill. What's that?
A lot of cardio.
That's a lot of cardio. If you're a Mikal Bridges owner, like you're grinning. If this is a difference maker week, 13 teams play 3, 16 play 4. So, it is a heavy week. And, this is a fantasy dream. When you see this type of amount of games played, this is waiver wire central. This is you staying on top of your lineups. 6 games Monday, 9 on Tuesday, 8 Wednesday. These are all streamable days. There's no day that is like there's 2 games, no day where there's 12. So this is like what you want to get when you get into a playoff situation as far as games are played. It takes a savvy owner to kind of like own this, but 8 games, 9 games, Friday, Sunday, maybe pairing those up. Stay active, folks. As I mentioned, back-to-back games on the weekend. The Nets are one of them. The Clippers at the back end. And we're just going to go right into it. Terance Mann right now is the man benefiting from a Russell Westbrook injury. He plays a lot of minutes. He's been playing a lot of minutes, but I think his uptick in shots per game in the last 2 weeks is the biggest striking thing. He's shooting nearly 10 a game, and on the season he's been shooting 6. So his usage rate automatically goes up a little bit. There's shots. Hey, surprise, surprise. There's more shots for everyone else when Russell Westbrook isn't playing. And like I mentioned before, he's going to get heavy minutes, 15 points, 6.6 rebounds, 2.5 assists, like a little bit of everything, but he's a safe pick at the very least to pick up.
Yeah.
18% roster.
Yeah, I think this is a good way to start the show. And Coach, I don't know if you put another guy with Man because you wanted me to just sing Ain't No Lovin' My Man again. But Terance Mann, rightfully so, somebody that you should pick up. I think from a points league perspective, 23, 14, 16, and 12. And the 12 is from the Russ game. So ironic that the lowest scoring output is when Westbrook did get hurt, albeit a blowout of the Wizards. That 12 rebound game, that is a little bit of a thrown a wrench in it. I don't think you're gonna.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think you're gonna see that as much, and the defensive stats aren't really there. But somebody, I think, especially with the Clippers schedule, we talk about the weekend streamers, the back-to-back. That's somebody you need to add early in the week because savvy owners are going to make sure that he's rostered.
And I think it's kind of, you mentioned the defensive stats that he's not putting up. I think it's a defensive show. Somehow we package the point guards and big players, and somehow they just come to fruition. And today's a stock week.
I will say the one thing, and Coach, we didn't make a graphic, but look at Bones Highland in deep leagues. 16 minutes the first game that Russ got hurt. You shot 1 of 7. You don't like that field goal percentage, but you like the fact that he's shooting that volume.
Yeah, and Ty Lue literally hasn't played him basically all season. So him kind of getting an opportunity. I mean, he's hungry. We've seen him catch some heaters, so maybe he catches the attention of his coach before playoffs when he will not play a single minute because he'll get played off the floor defensively. Somebody that's not getting played off the court defensively is Royce O'Neale, and he seems a seamless fit over here in the Phoenix Suns, and he's on a heater. 4.3 threes a game from a player that coming into the league was not known to shoot three. This is something that he's worked on his game, and they needed some more wing defenders, and they got him at the trade deadline, and he's benefited in fantasy owners have liked him for his production in all categories in the past. If he can shoot 49%, like this dude's like a must roster right now almost.
Oh my gosh, James, what I would give for you to show this video to James of 4 months ago when I've brought up Royce O'Neale. And no, he's a streamer. No, he's inconsistent.
Because he is and he was a situation. That's what changes in fantasy, buddy.
I mean, 20 points 2 out of the last 3 games. I like that Phoenix is changing their lineup up a little bit. They're playing Bobo a little bit more minutes. It seems like the big 3, Durant, obviously Beal hasn't been healthy a lot of the year. Devin Booker, that they're shooting less and they're spreading the ball more. And I think we're seeing Rolls-Royce being a beneficiary of that. He's giving you contributions in every single category. 3 stocks, threes, rebounds, assists, the points, a given. But he's playing the minutes too. 37 minutes 2 out of the last 3 games. Played 27 minutes versus the Rockets yesterday. I just love that we're talking about him and that you're the one that suggested we talk about him.
And on this Suns tip, a player that's actually shooting real cold in the last week, he's shooting 30%, but he is second in the NBA in true shooting percentage. He plays for this team. Can you name him?
Is it a popular pick?
I'm mad. I'm throwing a question because if I give a hint, it's going to give it away.
Drew Eubanks.
No. Grayson Allen, my guy.
I was going to say Grayson Allen.
Grayson Allen, true shooting percentage on the season is basically 70%. He's shooting 49.5 from the field. He's shooting mid-40s from 3. So let's see if he catches fire a little bit more because it's kind of been consistent. We're 3 quarters of the way through the year. Moving on. Somebody else getting an opportunity. Andrew Wiggins is away for family reasons in Golden State. He's out. It's pretty documented. He's had an abysmal season there in Golden State. What thus plugs Moses Moody into the starting lineup as Klay Thompson has kind of found his role on the bench. He's accepted it. He's almost thriving a little bit. Him and Chris Paul, the old guys coming in, and Moses Moody is a really good glue player. I've liked him coming out of college. I even liked him from his high school days playing in Mount Vert with Cade Cunningham and Scotty Barnes. But he's somebody that is getting now an opportunity. He's playing minutes and he's showcasing that he's a good NBA basketball player. And maybe it was a good thing that Golden State did not trade him. What's your opinion on Moses Moody? And then I know I didn't really mention his fantasy impact because I think he's maybe a better real life basketball player, but I like Moses Moody. I'm glad he's getting this opportunity. And they're playing really damn good basketball.
James, I hate you. Just kidding. Okay. You're the best. Just kidding. I love you. You know what I am? I'm being moody right now. There we go. I mean, I think you're pretty accurate. He's a glue guy. You obviously love to see that the 17 points, the 12 points, giving you a little bit of rebounds. Most of the shots that he's shooting are 3-pointers, and I don't think the defensive stats are going to continue. But I like that Golden State is shaking it up, and they've been winning a lot of games recently. And like you said, they're putting egos aside. They're having Chris Paul, Klay Thompson come off the bench. And look, teams are going to gravitate towards Steph and try and shut him down. And we know Draymond isn't a volume scorer. So that opens up opportunities for people like Moses Moody. Him only being shooting guard eligible, I think does ding down his value a little bit. But the last 3 games, his minutes have been upticking from 23 to 26 to 32. And the Warriors have been winning. So I don't see them changing it. I don't think he's a must roster, but I think he is somebody to keep an eye on. And maybe in those 14, 16 team leagues, yes, you do pick him up.
I do see his defensive stats keeping up. He is small forward eligible on Yahoo, that is. But Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, Brendan Pozinski, they needed some athleticism. They were just old and slow. And I think that Steve Kerr's, he should get, praised for this kind of switch up. And yeah, it happened because, Wiggins is out for family room. But I think they kind of found something here, and they're definitely a dangerous team. I wouldn't want to be.
There are more unselfish guys in the starting lineup now than what he had before.
I wouldn't want to play them in the first round of playoffs if I'm Oklahoma City or if I'm Minnesota. I wouldn't want to play LA either. And surprise, their playoff starting lineup is actually working for them. But I don't need to make this a Lakers pod. We're talking about Jaden McDaniels.
There's always a Lakers pod in your mind.
We're talking about. It's funny how Jaden McDaniels just pops up because we know what he did and in that playoff series. He hurt himself because he gets frustrated and punch things that he's not supposed to punch. He should have learned that from LeBron James a long time ago. But we're not talking about LeBron James. We're talking about Jaden McDaniels. And recently, this one I do want to start with. He's safe as far as he's going to play 30 minutes a game. He's kind of been disappointing fantasy-wise because we knew that he was going to play this role, but he understands his role. But he does get defensive stats. This is a defensive stats pod, and him scoring 26 may be the outlier as far as ticking up his points per game in the last week. But somebody to watch nonetheless. And, again, a safe pick if there's nobody else out there.
I mean, the Jaden McDaniels 26-point game came in double overtime, and he had to shoot 9 of 11, 5 of 7 from 3 to get that. I don't think we're going to see that. And just to kind of contrast, 2 games before that against the Spurs, plays 26 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 5 shooting. So I am going to caution it. I think he's somebody you would pick up because he is going to play the minutes. He's averaging 29 on the season. And maybe he will give you those defensive stats. 3 blocks against the Grizzlies, February 28th, 5 stocks against the Spurs on the 27th. He can be a little bit inconsistent at times, but anytime you're playing that many minutes, you're bound to put up some stats, whether that be points, whether that be rebounds. Not many people are PJ Tuckers, where they're just playing and don't put up any numbers at all.
Well, he is a hell of a defensive player. This is a defensive pod, and it shows that the NBA – it's lacking some defense, but defense is still valued from different angles because these guys like McDaniels and maybe O'Neale might not have been playing back in the day. They would have been replaced with some of like those bigger power forward model type of players, but they do have a role in the NBA. Kyle Lowry getting a little fresh breath, going back home to Philly. Now, you do have to watch because he doesn't play back-to-backs, but he is a streamable guy. He's a streamable guy here on Sunday if you're watching. I think he's going to have a good day today, and maybe that's like a promo for
an omen.
Yeah. Thought you were going to give it a Mitch. I was setting you up with the alley-oop, a promo.
A promo for Underdog Fantasy, James. I thought we were going to talk about it earlier in the show, but 15 minutes in is fine. When you use promo code TRIPLE, like Kyle Lowry, all he does is shoot triples. They're going to match your deposit up to $100. So they got the more or less, great way if your fantasy team is out to still kind of check and have a little bit of skin in the game. And if you do baseball, they got you covered from there. And we're doing some Underdog best ball fantasy baseball drafts. So use that promo code TRIPLE and you're getting free money in this tough economy we have right now.
And we're going to go for the overs for Kyle Lowry as he got his first start against Charlotte. He'll play.
What's the overs?
I don't got it on my hand. But I know that he had 15 points, 6 boards, and 10 assists last game, and hit 3 triples.
All right, James. I'll put an over under at 11.5. You saying the over on that?
Yep.
He played 36. He played 36 minutes to get that.
That's fine.
The one thing I will say about Kyle Lowry and Coach, I want to hear your input. Tyrese Maxey, number 1 option. Tobias Harris, the number 2 option. Do they have a clear number 3? I was thinking Kelly Oubre, but he's not consistent. Paul Reed is going to the bench now.
I mean, Oubre is going to shoot more shots than anyone else. I guess that makes him the 3rd option.
I mean,
I don't know.
He shot 9 attempts last game in his first game. Yeah. So that's just saying.
Some to look at, but they are floundering real quick. And with Joel's comments, man, it's not the most promising.
What did he say? I've been living under a rock.
Well, they asked him about his injury. He said he's going to play regardless of what type of position they're in, but he's also the way his tone was, it seemed like, he might not be back in time. So I don't know. It's something you got to look into. You know how Joel, he's kind of cryptic. So, take
cryptic,
it for what it is.
When it's Crypto Arena, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Good.
That is the background too of our main graphic. Isaiah Stewart, he punches people and he also, gets some rebounds and points. He's been a very safe fantasy pick on the year. He's getting some
literally
blocks.
Said you introed him in with he punches people.
He does. He's known. All right, Isaiah Stewart, what do you think about? He's known for what?
I mean, he is known for punching people.
He's known for punching people and getting bucked with LeBron.
He's known for having 8 security guards hold him back from trying to fight LeBron.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to fight him. Look at him.
Oh, my gosh.
Manimal 2.0.
Oh, my gosh. He might be the player in the NBA that you don't F with the most.
He don't.
Draymond would never say anything to him.
Yeah. He would, but he would make sure that somebody else was in between, like those 8 security guards. Taylor Hendricks. That's funny. That Draymond thing, we might have to talk about that another time. It's funny how he picks his battles. I'm going to fight Nurkic. Right? Like what? Gobert. Like, non-threatening people.
He wouldn't even fight Pat Bev.
Yeah. Taylor Hendricks. We talked about it. We gave him a mention last week. He's still starting in the last 2 weeks, 9 points, 8 boards. Just still something to watch. I think he has a capability of getting some of those defensive stats as well. 11% roster. Just something to look at as Utah kind of turns to get some younger players some more bump.
I mean, over 25 minutes the last 5 games, at least 7 rebounds, and 4 out of those last 5, a season high 13. I'm liking what we're seeing out of him. And Walker Kessler has been out. I mean, I say out being day-to-day with a right foot sprain. Utah has nothing to play for, and they haven't even given Kessler minutes this year like we anticipated. He's very good for blocks and for field goal percentage, but we thought he would take a step up, and for some reason Utah doesn't want to play him. So, enter Taylor Hendricks that could be playing in the high 20s, low 30s, minutes per game once they're officially eliminated. So even if you don't pick him up now, keep him on your radar for playoff streaming.
And speaking of streaming, defensive streaming, in the likes of Matisse Thybulle, who's I feel like he's like a steal a minute type of guy, but
And James, he is in the steals court.
he is in the steals court. But it's hard to get him outside of that. But if you're on a bubble for steals at the end of the weekend, he's somebody you should get.
James, I'm going to read off his steals the last couple games or over his last 10 games. 2, 3, 2, 6, 4, 1, 1, 2, 5, 3. That's 16, 22, 24, 20. He's averaging 2.9 steals over the last 10 games. He is a Mathief, not a Matisse. What is his ranking in the steals court? He gets a position.
His ranking, I don't know. Like
I don't know if he's king of steals. Like that's very generous.
It's hard to put somebody in there that like it's not fantasy relevant outside of that streaming.
No, the steals.
I'm sorry. It's hard to put you in there when like you're an afterthought because I'm not going to get you.
Steals court strictly focuses on steals. It doesn't care about fantasy relevance. We put DeLon right in there last year. Matisse Thybulle is the equivalent.
He's first team all steals court.
He is the equivalent of what a queen is. Or I'll say like a jack if it's like a playing cards deck. I'm not going to call him a queen, but he has like that degree of power.
You're being a joker right now.
As you can see, I'm very impressed with him.
Jordan Goodwin. You don't know what Memphis is going to do. I mean, we're going to be quite honest with you, but 6 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, and then the stocks, which is crazy. There's 4 of them.
4 blocks for a 6'4" guard.
I don't know how you did. How did you do that? Probably
notes, Alec Burks.
Playing against Scoot Henderson, but 11% roster. Jordan Goodwin has been getting some bump recently. You just don't know game to game what you're going to get. But if you can get a couple games, he's not going to keep up 26%. But he is a stalwart on defense, and it's a defensive show. So we might as well end with a Jordan Goodwin, which I liked in his time here in Washington last year.
James, don't you think we've talked about more Memphis Grizzlies on this show than any other team, like players to pick up throughout the season?
Well, they've also had the most injuries. So yeah,
that's what I mean.
Yes, I agree with you, and it makes sense. Speaking of Gigi Jackson, all he does is score buckets.
He can't even rebound, and he shot like one of 13 last week. Followed up with the 4 of 13 game. I had to cut him from my team.
Yeah, Vince Williams is where it's at, but other than that,
Vince Williams, good for categories. He has not been scoring. Yeah. James, random thought: do you think anyone has called Jordan Goodwin Jordan Bad Loss in his life, or do you think I just gave him that nickname for the first time ever?
Yes, you definitely said that for the first time ever.
Bad Gosh, loss. I'm so creative. I need to give these players nicknames. Josh Wood, I'm coming for your job.
Yeah, when you getting Moody on me, that was kind of a highlight for the show for me because I didn't know where you're going with that at all.
You never know where I'm going.
Nah, but I know where LeBron is going.
Oh my gosh. Way to
50K.
Oh my gosh.
Tune in. Buckle up.
This is crazy, James. You have an obsession. You need to go to therapy to discuss
this. Let's go. LBJ.
Oh my gosh. You know what? You're gonna have to block my number if the Lakers miss the playoffs. The road to 50K is gonna have to wait another season, another year, another no ring.
All right, buddy. Well, on that note, we'll see you week 20 again. We're about in the playoff. Like, next week probably should start most leagues' playoffs. You might be in your final week. But here we are. Until next time. For Doc, I'm Coach. Peace.
Lately I've been feeling things change. We've been working hard, no sleep, get it every day. And I swear that we ain't stopping till we pay. Yeah, the pressure on, gotta make it work, triple play, yeah.